I'm moving to Mexico City in 2 weeks, and for the last month, I have done very little to learn any more Spanish. In this video, I will lay out my plan and share my best tools and tips for learning a new language. Why bother? Why can't I just get by with using English?
¿Cómo dices? No hablo español. Un momento. Estoy hablando español. ¿Qué diablos? Estoy realmente hablando español.
In 2018, I spent a winter in Malaga, southern Spain, and using English there was like talking to a wall. I would only get blank stares and some reply in Spanish. So when I went to the gym, or to buy groceries, or to watch a movie, or when I sold my phone and bicycle online, every time I went to buy something from the local butcher or visited a clothing store, I could only use Spanish. And in fact, I didn't even try to use English. Only my landlady was Danish, so she was the only person I spoke English with. 99% of all communication was in Spanish. Being surrounded by Spanish-speaking people is the best way to immerse yourself in the language because it's the only available mode for communication. In practice, that is pretty difficult to pull off if you don't have a bunch of Spanish friends already or you don't live in a Spanish-speaking neighborhood. The next best thing for immersion is to surround yourself with Spanish media. For listening, I use Google Podcast and search for Spanish talk shows. I've been listening to some La Corneta episodes, but there's plenty of options to find something you like. Also, Duolingo has a very good podcast where you hear Spanish stories with English commentary, so it's easier to follow. Just by listening to these in your car or with your earphones, you're training your ear to become accustomed to Spanish words. Subconsciously, your mind starts to analyze and construct language patterns so that hearing and separating individual Spanish words becomes easier. This is something that the brain does automatically, so if you just do this daily, you will notice that some random Spanish word might pop into your mind any time of the day. That means your brain is constructing new neural pathways and making it easier for you to learn the language. You can also dive into the Spanish music by listening to certain artists or playlists, which is also a great way to get more into the cultural landscape of the Spanish-speaking world. A more active form of learning is by using apps on your phone. My two favorites are Duolingo and Memrise, which are similar but different enough that both offer a lot of value also for the free versions. And doing them both amplifies your knowledge of vocabulary and grammar. You can also teach YouTube algorithm to show you more Spanish videos depending on your current level. You can watch Spanish soap operas or movies or some interviews. If you have the option to show captions, that helps to recognize the words and follow the discussion. Even better if you have friend or friends who speak Spanish, you can practice your skill that way and get invaluable feedback if they agree to help you. How I first started learning Spanish was while I was driving from my hometown to the town where I was studying, and that gave me 2 hours of interrupted time to listen and repeat what I heard. I've tried them all, but the best audio material was Learning Spanish with Michel Thomas, which has a very intuitive and easy way for a complete beginner to learn the basics of the language. That being said, I'm no longer a beginner. I can somehow get by with Spanish, but I'm not on a conversational level yet. So what is realistic in 2 weeks? For a beginner, if you memorize 5 phrases per day, you can learn 70 useful everyday things to say, like greetings, basic questions, and basic answers. Knowing that first 70 phrases can make a world of difference instead of always replying automatically hablas inglés. That's for a complete beginner. You can use something like Wikitravel Phrasebook, which has all the essential phrases. I'll add the link below. If you already know the basics like me, you could try the following 4 steps program for the next 2 weeks. First step, I will only watch videos in Spanish in YouTube. I spend hours on YouTube every day, so that has the biggest impact for me. If that is Netflix or something similar to you, you can find Spanish shows and movies and watch them with subtitles. I've heard the Mexican telenovelas are awesome. Second step, I will do 2 modules on Duolingo and Memrise, speaking out loud the sentences and words. Using the language is essential because you need to practice the pronunciation and just getting used to using a new language. You need to open your mouth so you hear the words that you're saying. Otherwise, you're going to be tongue-tied when it's time to actually use it in a real conversation. Third step, if I listen to any music, it will all be in Spanish. Fourth step, and maybe the most important one, I'm going to write all my notes in Spanish. This way, I'll learn to form my thoughts and ideas in Spanish instead of creating them first in another language and then translating them into Spanish. This is really the key for next level proficiency in a new language. This is how I learned to speak better English because I started to think and write in English. When you get to that level, you start to sound much more natural and skip the translation part, which makes you faster. And here comes a hidden benefit. When I journal in Spanish, I learn to fill the biggest gaps in my vocabulary. See, when you're talking with someone but you don't know the word or expression, you don't have time to look it up from your phone, and that will basically kill the conversation. But when you do writing, you have all the time to look it up and add it to your active vocabulary so you know the word or the expression when you need it. By the way, I love this quote. I don't remember who said it, but obviously someone who is smarter than me. It goes like this: the limit of your world is the limit of your language. If you have a conversational level in a given language and you talk with the local, a totally new world opens up for you because now you build a connection and you understand the other person better. Otherwise, there will always be the language barrier that is very difficult to cross. This is my plan for the remaining days I'm in Finland. I will not become fluent in 2 weeks, but I will definitely get better and improve my Spanish, so it'll be easier to start speaking the language right off the gate in September. And yes, I'm aware there's plenty of other options as well. I'm just sharing here what's have been working for me. Some people like Babbel, where you can chat with a native person. That might be helpful for you. And you can also share your best tools and tips in the comments below and give this video a like if you find it helpful. And the last thing about languages, if you have a mindset that you're bad in languages, just forget it. Like learning any new skill, when you're just a beginner, would you say to yourself, I'm bad at this, I suck at this? Or would you simply say, I'm at a beginner level, I don't know much? And languages, just like any skill, is only about practice and climbing up those levels in proficiency. Anyone can learn a new language. There is only limiting beliefs that you can get rid of whenever you want. Simply find the ways that suit you, the ways you like to practice it, and over time, you're only going to get better at it. Later on, when I'm in Mexico, I'll create a follow-up video where I share my tips, how I'm improving and learning more with the locals. Until that time, have fun learning Spanish.